Okay, so this is my planting schedule spreadsheet right here. Now, I use LibreOffice. I don't use Excel, but you can do this in Excel. But I'm going to give you the rundown on how I do it in LibreOffice. Just because LibreOffice is free, it's the alternative to Microsoft Office. So the alternative to Excel is called Calc. So it's LibreOffice Calc. But when you download, I'll put a link below in the description. You can download the whole Office package, and you'll get the spreadsheet and the writer like Word and stuff like that. So anyway, this is my spreadsheet here. I'm going to give you a rundown what it looks like before we create it. So you'll notice I've got the notations here. SI is for starting, is for seeds indoors. Basically, you want to start them. DS would be to direct sow the seed, and T would be transplant. So I've got the month. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is basically the way I've laid it out. I've got the first week, the second week, the third week, and the fourth week right here for every month. Now you could put the date. You could put like the 1st, and then like the 8th, and the 15th, and 20th, or you know what I mean. You can put the dates in here if you want, but I just go by 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th week. So it's categorized by month here. So I've got January, February, March. And then I have down on the left-hand side here, I have all of the vegetables and herbs also. And then you come across here, like let's take basil. You come across here the third week in March. I want to start my seeds indoors. So the 3rd and 4th week I start them. And then over here to the right, you'll notice this column right here. This is the last frost, average last frost date. And I've got that denoted right here. Then this one here is the first frost, and that's over here in October. So basically, you'll notice that after the first frost here with my basil, I can put the transplants out. So I start them by seed here, transplant them out. Now you'll notice beets here. I can start my beets, direct sow the seed the 4th week in April and the 1st week in May, and then that's like 2 weeks or so before the last frost. And then the same thing with the broccoli. Sow them indoors. I can transplant them out in the beginning of April. And then down here, let's say garlic. I'll be coming over here, and I will put direct sow over here in October, the end here. And so I just type in DS, which is direct sow, and there I am right there at the end of October. I direct sow my garlic. And then you'll see like peas here. If I look at my schedule, I know that the 2nd week in March, I'm going to start my peas. I can direct sow my peas all the way through toward the end of April. So basically, this is just kind of giving me an idea of what I need to do. It's kind of a schedule. So I look at January. Not much is going on in January. You'll notice there nothing. And then, of course, this is the middle of February. And so I look down my list here. Let's say this is the 3rd week in February. And then I know what has to happen here. I can start indoors my celery, my eggplant, my onions, oregano, peppers, rosemary, and thyme. So basically a bunch of herbs. In fact, even with my onions, I can actually start my onions in February, the 2nd week also in February, even the 1st here where I live. So anyways, this is just kind of giving you an idea of how I've laid it out. And I've kind of taken this idea from a few spreadsheets I saw online, and I just kind of hodgepodged them together and came up with this, and it works really well for me. So you'll notice also I've got these 3 lines, these 3 rows, they're stationary. So when I scroll down, let's say I had the bottom here, zucchini, if I have something after that, you'll notice up here when I scroll, those 3 rows stay where they are. So I'll show you also how to do that. So let's go ahead and just start a blank spreadsheet, and then we'll create this planting schedule. Okay, so if you don't have LibreOffice, I'll put a link in the description below, and you can go out and download it. And so I have a shortcut on the desktop here, LibreOffice Calc. And so when it starts up here, column A is going to be my list, of course, of vegetables. So I can adjust this at any time. I'm just going to expand it a little bit, give me some room here to write my list. So my month is going to start here. I'm going to have 4 columns for each month. So I click on B and I drag over to C, D, and E and then let go. So I've got all 4 of these columns highlighted. Now I'm going to actually do I'm going to do one column and then I'm going to copy this column and then paste it in sequential columns. I'm not going to do like one and then go over here to the next one and do it. I'll just format this one month and then we will copy it. So what I'm going to do is I've got these 4 columns highlighted. So I'm going to go up to Format, Rows, or Columns I mean, and then Width. And then you'll notice that it's defaulted to 0.89, which is kind of a weird number. But I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to type in 0.35. So it has shrunk down these 4 columns here. Now this is going to be January, okay? So I've got all 4 of those highlighted. What I'm going to do is, now they're all highlighted, I'm going to right click inside one of the cells and I'm going to left click Format Cells. And then I've got this box here. Now what I want to do is I want to go to Borders tab, and then this 4th one here where it says Set Outer Border and All Inner Lines, I'm going to click that. And what that's going to do is that gives me a border all the way around every cell. Okay? So now what I want to do after that, if I was to just do the same thing over here, basically they all look the same. But I want to actually make each month stand out on its own. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click on the B and drag to the E, and I've got those 4 columns highlighted again. Right click on one of the cells, left click on Format again. I'm going to go back to Borders, and the very last one here where it says Presets, set the outer border without changing the inner lines. I'm going to click on that. Then I'm going to go down here to where it says Line Width. I'm going to up that to 1.25. Then I'm going to click OK. Now let's see what it does. Let's click off of this and I'll show you what it's done. I've got all of my cells with borders, and then I have one big border all the way around the month. Okay? So this gives me January. So this makes it a little bit easier to know, where each month is. So now I want to take this, row number 1, I'm going to adjust that later. Row number 2 is going to be the name of my month. Okay, so I want to take just the B, C, D, and E cell, click and drag and highlight all 4 of those cells. And then I'm going to right click on one of the cells, and then I'm going to select Merge Cells. And what that did was that made all 4 of those as one cell. Now I'm going to go down here between the 2 and the 3 over on the left. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. This is where I'm going to type my month. Okay, so double click inside of this cell that I just made, and I'm going to type January, like that. And then actually what I did was, I should have done, okay, when I did this merge, you'll notice what happened here. It got rid of this line here. So you see on the far right of this cell, it got rid of that line. So I actually should have done that after I did the month name. So I'm going to go back to this and highlight B, C, D, and E. Right click, go to Format Cells, and then go to Set Border again on the very last one, 0.25, and that fixed it. So basically I want to do that, the border, after I do the month. So anyways, that's I didn't realize I was going to do that. So now I've got my month here. I'm going to highlight that cell. I'm going to change this to 12, the font, bold, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to align center, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to vertically center it. So I've centered it vertically and horizontally, just like that. Now you could also make that bigger if you wanted to. You can make it 14. Actually 14 kind of looks nice. Okay, so now just below this January, I want to make these cells bigger. So I'm going to take between the 3 and the 4, I'm going to drag that down, and this is where I'm going to put the weeks. So I'm going to put click in here and I'm going to go 1ST for first, and then the second one 2ND for second. Go to the third cell, 3RD for third, 4TH for fourth. Now you could actually put the dates here if you wanted to. I just go by weeks. It's close enough for me. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag and highlight those 4 cells. And I want to, again, center them vertically and horizontally. So I click here, align center, and then center vertically. So like there, and now they're aligned. Now you could, of course, play with these and, change the font. You can bold it if you want to, or italicize or underline. But I think I'm just going to italicize them, make them metallic. Now what I also want to do is I want to actually make this a background color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight those 4, right click, and then I'm going to go format cells again, and then background. I'm going to pick a color right here, and I'm going to go something very light, like this is very light gray 5, like that. Okay, so that kind of gives me it's more of a visual for me. I can tell where my lines are, where my weeks are. So now this is pretty much it's pretty much done. And so what I want to do is I want to do the same over here. So I'm going to take and highlight this B, C, D, and E again, and you can go up to Edit, Copy, or you can right click and go Copy. And then now that this is copied, you'll see it's got these, it's called what is it? I don't remember. It's called like worms or whatever, marching ants, or I don't remember what they call it. So those 4 are copied. I'm going to go FGHI, and I'm going to go Edit, Paste. And so what it did was it gave me the exact same formatting in these 4 columns here. Then all I have to do is double click on January and type in February, just like that. So now I still have these 4 columns copied on the clipboard, so I can keep pasting. So I'm going to go JKLM, I can go Edit and Paste. Now you'll notice the shortcut for paste is Control V, so I don't have to go up to the menu. I can just go Control V, and I can just keep doing this. NOPQ, Control V, RSTV, Control V, and I'm just clicking and dragging. I'm highlighting. I'm clicking on the V, W, X, Y, and letting go. 4 columns. Control V. So I've got January, February, March, April, May, June. So we've got July, August, September, October, November, and December, just like that. And then I'm just going to change these names. Let me go ahead and change these and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I've got all my months in here, January through December. March, April, May, June, July. I'm just double checking myself. Now what I've also done is I've saved this file. I just call it planting schedule. Because I don't want to do a whole ton of work and then something happen, I get a power outage or something and I lose everything. That would be like me. I hit a wrong button or make a mistake. But anyway, so this is saved so far. Now you'll notice over here in the top left in 1A, it's really small. Well, what I want to do is I want to make that bigger. So I'm going to highlight between the 1 and the 2, and I'm going to drag that down. So now what I want to do is I want to take and go through maybe A through I. So I'm going to click on this first cell, 1A, and hold all the way through to I. And I want to merge those. So if I right click inside one of those cells and then hit merge cells. And then in here is where I'm going to start typing. So I double click and then I go, let's say SI equals seeds indoors, and then go like maybe 5 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. DS equals direct sow, SIZO, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then T equals transplants. So kind of something like that. You can use your own, your own little notations. So I want to center these words vertically and horizontally again. So I just highlight that cell, go up to Align Center, and then go over here to Center Vertically. Now if I wanted to make these bigger, I would have highlighted more cells over here, because if I was to make this, let's say I highlight that cell and make them 12, it bleeds over. So if you want those to be bigger letters, then you're going to need a bigger space here. So I'm going to double click inside, and I'm going to highlight the first here, SI Seeds and Doors, and just I'm going to make it a different color. So I'm going to go to my the A here, and I'm going to make it red. And then I'm going to go to the next one, DS, highlight that line, and then let's say green or something like that, and then leave the transplants black. So it just kind of gives me a better visual here. Now when I'm down here in the cells, I don't worry about making the letters, like when I type in SI in one of the cells, I don't make it red. You could do that. It would actually be probably a better visual for you. I don't do it. I just, I just like to have different colors, that's all. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to put in my my last frost date. So I come over here about the 3rd week in May, right click on the T, left click on Format Cells, and then I'm going to select background and then color, and then I'm just going to make it like, say, like an orange or something like that. Okay, so this is a reference to my last frost date. Then I'm going to come over here in October, the 3rd week in October. I'm going to highlight, which is the cell AN, the column I should say. I'm going to highlight that, right click, left click Format Cells, and then I'm going to make this something like, like a light pink or something, like light magenta 4. That'll work, just like that. So now these are my frost dates, my last one in the spring, my first one in the fall. Now I want to make a reference to this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over, let's take J, K, and L. Let's highlight those 3. So just click on J and click and hold J, K, L. I want to right click inside one of those cells and left click Merge. So that gives me a box. Now I want to do the same thing with M, N, and O. Right click, Merge Cells. So then to make this a little bit cleaner up top here, I'm going to take the P through the AW here, and then right click and then Merge Cells. So it's giving me a blank here, so it's not so distracting. When I have the column lines above this, it's a little bit distracting. So this actually looks like a calendar. Now these 2 cells I'm going to use for noting my frost dates. So I'm going to take the first cell here, click on this JKL cell, right click on it, and then I'm going to left click Format Cells. And then I'm going to pick the same color here that I used for my frost date, my last frost date on T. So I'm going to take that cell, double click, and I'm going to type in last frost. Okay, and then the same thing, I'm going to click off, click back on it, last frost. I'm going to center it vertically and horizontally, and then I'm going to make it bold. So there. So this color denotes my last frost. Now I'm going to do the same thing for my first frost in the fall. Right click on that cell, left click Format Cells, give it a color. I'm giving it that pinkish or whatever it was, and then double click inside that cell and then type in first frost, and then center it and then bold. So there we go. Here we are so far. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I want to make every other row a different color because it's better for visual, and it kind of breaks it up, and actually, believe it or not, you can actually read the lines a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and highlight row 4 just by clicking on the 4. Hold my control button down and then click on 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So I'm basically clicking on every other one. I know it looks like it's turning it blue, but actually the blue is just highlighting the row. So there. Now what I want to do is right click on one of the highlighted cells, left click format, and then I want to pick color, and then I'm going to pick like something like a light blue 3, like that. Now one more thing that I want to do is over here in this big long merge cell is I want to double click inside of there and then just type in planting schedule. Okay, click off of it, then click back on the cell, center it, make it like 18 or something, and then I can change the color to anything like red or something in bold. But anyway, so over here now, on starting with row 4 is where I can start typing in all of my vegetables and my herbs. So I've got basil, and then beans, bush, pole, kind of thing like that. Now, whoops, bean S. So you'll notice that it kind of bleeds over. So I can just go up here to between the A and the B, and then I can just adjust the width of that column just like that. Okay, so one last thing I almost forgot was to show you how to make these 3 rows here stationary. In other words, when I scroll down here, normally with a spreadsheet, everything moves. All the rows all go together. But I don't want that to happen. I want these 3 rows, 1, 2, and 3, to stay stationary, and I just want to scroll my vegetable list. So I've opened up mine here. So let me show you how to do that. I want to highlight row 4 right here, and this is anything above this row I want to freeze. So if I highlight row number 4 and right click on the number 4, and I want to left click on freeze rows and columns, what that does is that freezes anything above this row. So now watch when I scroll. See, it's just my vegetables scrolling. That way, if I have a long list down below, like below my zucchini, I can go ahead and scroll, and then I'll still be able to see the month, the week of the month, and whatnot. So anyways, that's how you freeze those 3 rows. Anyways, this is how I make my planting schedule spreadsheet. All right, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe, and make sure you hit that little bell so you'll get notifications when I upload a new video. All right, we'll catch you guys later.